Hello, hello, my dear friends. Happy New Year, rebelliously fulfilled entrepreneurs. I am just going to do a quick thing here so that I can see you. If you're live, please say hi. Let me know that you're here. Let's see here. Okay, it looks like we are here. Looks like I am live. Okay, good. Yay. Okay, if you're live, say hi. Happy New Year. This is my first day full-time back to work. And for those of you who took a lot of time off like me during the holidays, this is not what we're talking about today, but I highly encourage you to ease your way in or to find whatever pace it is that feels good to you. I think I did that. I did a lot more easing in this year than I ever have, and it's been so good for me. I took Monday off. I kind of worked about a half a day yesterday. And today's my first day with only a call or two plus this. So 2 calls plus this. So I've really created a lot of white space for myself to sort of give myself this week to figure out what's going on and where I left things with people and all of that. So if you're waiting for a message from me, it's coming. So happy New Year. I don't know if anybody follows Dude with a Sign. I follow him on Instagram. He may be somewhere else too, but he put one of his signs up. He just posts him standing in a picture holding a sign with some funny words on it. And today's was that today is the cutoff for wishing people a happy New Year. So I think it's only the 4th, but anyway, happy New Year. I'm going to keep saying it and for probably most of the rest of the month because I love New Year. I'm not actually a very big New Year's Eve person, but I really, really love New Year's Day and New Year's intentions and blank slate and just the energy that goes with a new chapter. Maybe I think a lot of people love it. A lot of people don't care about it. It's fine wherever you fall in the line. I think for me, because I've always kind of been a change seeker and helped people in all of my career, both in this business and in corporate, with navigating change, whether that change happens to you or if it comes through you and you feel compelled to create something new or do something a little bit different or move to another country. And so, yeah, I'm really big on blank slate energy and just a fresh start. So we'll see. I have lots that I want to share today, but I also, I'm going to actually try to keep it focused on just a couple of important tips because I think we can get into jumping into the practical and making lists and doing all the planning. And while there's so much value in that, I really want to talk today about reframing intentions for yourself for the year, reframing how you look at this time of year or how you just simply set intentions for your work and really your life. So much of this is going to be mixed in between work and life. So if you came to this conversation looking for a little step-by-step planning process, that you're not going to get that today. And I'm not sorry, but I really want to encourage you to think differently or think bigger about your intentions for this year. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. There's lots of really great things out there and available. And I may share I have some simple processes that I like to go through and that I encourage my clients to go through at this time of year or whenever they are in a new chapter. And we can talk practical maybe later this month. But right now, by the way, all of this conversation is for the practical purpose. But right now, what I really want to talk about is how are you looking at your intentions? How are you being around this sort of setting? And I say I don't say resolutions, I say intentions. How are you being around even this exercise, right? Like a lot of people want to lose 10 pounds and find the love of their life and, double their income and like do all these things. And there's so much, like, I love that. And you can do anything you want. You can create anything you want. But I think it's really easy. I can't remember the specific statistic, but it's something like by the third or fourth week of January, most people's New Year's resolutions are out the window and not happening anymore, you know. And I don't want that to be the case for you. And I think when we set New Year's resolutions and goals in the way that, at least for me, the way that I was brought up to do that, we often set ourselves up for failure, particularly if you have a creative brain. Well, we're all creative, but if you lean more creatively than like step-by-step practical, if goals intimidate you or just stress you out in terms of like, I don't know if I have the discipline to accomplish this, then that's not going to be your style. So what I'm going to do today is just talk a little bit about ways to think about it and ways to set it up for yourself, for your style. Because if you're going to do it the old school way, that works for some people, but it doesn't work for everyone. So I'm going to sort of ask you some questions and give you some things to think about, so that you can create something for yourself that really works for you. If you already have a process or something that you want to go through, this is a great conversation for you to listen to, because it'll kind of just give you a chance to sprinkle slightly new ideas or different ways to even just, you can go through the same process you go through every year if you have a process that works for you. But I'm hopeful that this will help you to start to think a little differently and open up your mind to what is possible, open up your mind to the ways that you can really support yourself in accomplishing your intentions versus setting them and then just kind of hoping you get there, right? So, all right. So, yeah, I think the first thing I want to say about this time of year, about setting intentions, about anything like this, is simply that now is not the only time of year to do this. And so if you're putting pressure on yourself to do it at all, if it doesn't feel like the right time for you and this doesn't feel like a blank slate for you, maybe you're still in the middle of something, like just because it's January 1st or the first week of January or January at all, does not mean that you, like, maybe you did a bunch of planning 2 months ago. Maybe you set new intentions 2 months ago. Maybe you just started a business. Maybe you just started your second business. Like, just because it's January doesn't mean that this is what you need to do right now. So let yourself off the hook, bookmark this for another day and come back when it is the right time for you. Or if this is a good time for you, for me and my business and my life, this is a great time for me to do these exercises and to set intentions and to dream big. And if I only do this once a year, how deeply impactful is that going to be? If you look at success, if you look at people that are able to accomplish big things, you know, we look at we do it on a smaller scale. Yes, it's awesome to have amazing big goals, and I help my clients with that. And I have big goals and big dreams and big visions for my work. And I'm not going to accomplish them all this month. And I'm not going to try to set myself up for that failure, right? Because it's not intended to, you know, the timing of when it comes and when it is created is also really important to be intentional about that. So if you're going, so again, this is not the time of year that you have to do this. If this becomes a should, a have to, a supposed to, then I encourage you to let go. Maybe do a little bit of just mindset work and dreaming. We're going to talk about some dreaming today, and then come back to it when it feels right and the right timing for you and your business. And again, if this does feel like good timing for you, great. How can you set an intention or a reminder or a little bit of white space carved out in other parts of the year, once a quarter, twice a year, once a month, whatever works for you, to sort of revisit, reground back into your intentions, right? So again, this is just because the title of today is New Year's intentions. Time is really make it your own. And yeah, I really feel that if the process that you go through doesn't feel beautiful, expansive, like you are creating something before it's even tangible. If it doesn't feel creative, inspirational, wonderful, grounding, magical, fun, then take a listen to what we have to talk about today, and maybe you can find a way to make it work for you. Because if it becomes a should or a have to, or something that's just you're gonna judge yourself about the discipline of whether you accomplish it or not, then it's actually not serving you. Setting yourself up for self-judgment and setting yourself up for failure is just really not going to serve you as a soul. It's not going to serve your business, and it's just kind of a waste of time. So don't put pressure on yourself. And if you are putting your pressure on yourself, maybe today's conversation will help you a little bit with that. Okay, we talked about timing. The other thing I want to just sort of myth I want to bust here, and it's funny, I've seen several posts about this recently. A lot of people, again, there's no wrong way to do this. You got to do this in a way that serves you. But I think a lot of people think that this time of year is when you like set big, massive, holy cow goals, to intentions, resolutions, whatever it is that you want to call it, and that they've got to be big. And while I am, again, I said earlier, I am so here for the big stuff. That's a big part of my work, is to help people do the big things, whatever big means to you. Again, if you've got some comparisonitis going on, or you've decided that like, oh, my dreams aren't big enough, my this isn't big enough, this isn't work, it's not going to serve you. So as my coach, Kim Market-Singer, says, get your eyes back on your own paper. This is a personal, a unique and personal to you process to go through. And if you're going to set yourself up to have to judge yourself, evaluate yourself, give yourself a grade, people always talk about like setting specific, we did this in corporate, like setting SMART goals. And the first thing in SMART goals are specific. And there's so much value in that. And I'm all about setting specific goals also. But if you're just going to use this as a yardstick to judge yourself, to decide if you're worthy enough or not, again, unless that is what motivates you, which then that's a whole separate conversation, it's not going to serve you, and it's not going to serve your business. And so the have to is actually not serving you either. So full permission to let it go. Yeah. So just, I want to, because I'm going to be talking about thinking bigger and dreaming and all of these things, I do just want to put the caveat in here now that, size doesn't matter, and what's big to you might not be big to somebody else, and that also isn't relevant here. And what you want for this year for yourself must be uniquely specific to you. And so that gets me back into what is the season that you're in right now. So step one, or it's not even step one, number one tip that I want to share today is take a moment. I'm going to come back to this for a second, but again, in the sort of let's just sort of start looking at intentions differently, and not looking at them as goals, not looking at them as resolutions, not looking at them as plans. I forgot what I was going to say. Hold on. Yeah. The first thing is, who am I? Where am I in my life right now? What season are you right now in life and business? What season, what chapter, what theme is present for you? So I'm going to give you a few examples. Maybe you have just birthed a child. And so perhaps your intentions for the year might be to find balance between, whatever balance means, a balance that feels good to you around spending time with your child or children, motherhood, and time for yourself and time for your business, right? That's a very, very, very different season. Maybe you've got some health situation going on and you need to carve out time to keep yourself healthy, to go to doctor's appointments, to do certain things. Obviously, you're going to still run your business, but I think understanding what season you're in is so important to setting intentions so that you're not saying, well, my priority is my health, but I'm also going to go gangbusters on my business and wear myself out and burn the candle at both ends and achieve 75 things before March 1st. Right? And maybe this is a period of time. So are you in a space where you want to work less? Are you in a space where you want to work more? 2020 was that year for me. And 2021, I worked a lot more in 2020 and 2021 than I did before that, and than I have since. Those were years where I was just inspired. I had the time, I had the space, I had the motivation, and I was doing and creating a lot of things, and that worked for me. And so I set myself up to be able to create those things, and I set big intentions around those things for that phase in business, for that season in business, for that chapter of my life. So understanding where you are, and that's kind of, I sort of want to, as I was making my notes for today, I started calling this like setting intentions about your intentions. Right? Knowing what season you're in. And again, this isn't about what you can't do and what's impossible, but knowing what season you're in, knowing what's important to you this year, so that when you set up your intentions for your business, they are also integrated into your intentions for your life. And I really like to do, so much of life and business is intermingled, but I really like to set clear intentions for my life and then line my business intentions up with that and make sure that they line up. So again, knowing who you are, knowing what's important to you, knowing what season you are in right now in your life will help you set intentions that really feel good and supportive. Like I said, maybe your intentions include some level of creating a balance that works for you across all of the different aspects of your life. Okay, just going to take a quick pause to see if anybody has questions. If you have questions or comments, let me know. Okay. Okay. So as we're looking at what does it mean to set intentions, what does this process look like for you? One of the things that I like to encourage people to do, and this is kind of a practical tip, I think it's so important. And this is also when we can sort of follow this tip, I think we get an opportunity to really, how do I want to say this? It gives us an opportunity to really dive into the meat of where all the extra goodness is, as opposed to using it as something to judge ourselves, using it as a yardstick, using it as a thing that we're going to give ourselves a grade around. So if you so the tip is number 2, separate your, and I say do these in separate sittings, do these separate thought processes, ideally even separate days. Setting intentions is not planning. Setting intentions, dreaming, setting a goal or even a resolution, whatever you want to call it, it's not planning. It's the what. An intention is the what. There is something that you want to create and you identify it. It's that simple. It's just the what. when we can get ourselves kind of messy and wrapped around the axle and pulled out of, I think the most powerful element of this process, which I'm going to get to in a second, is the subconscious mind and dreaming and really getting yourself a chance to create the thing that you intend to create, to manifest the thing that you want. When we try to figure out how to get there, that's a step that's important, but it needs to be a separate thought process, because it's a completely different animal. And because here's what happens, right? Ooh, I want to, let's say you want to turn your business, you want to make multi six figures this year. Okay, let's say that's your intention. What we want to do is stay focused on that intention, which is the multi six figures and what that might look and feel like. I'm getting a little bit on a tangent on my next point. What we don't want to do is go multi six figures. Well, let me see if that's possible. How many clients do I have? What would I need to do to get there? How do I work backwards from 200K? Okay, that's 16,666 per month, blah, 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 blah. What do I want? How many people? Well, how many people do I have now? What's my conversion rate, right? Do you see how that gets into the how? Those are really, really important things to do. But when we go straight to the action and the practical and the how and the planning, before first embodying the intention and getting super crystal clear about the intention, one, it just pulls you. They're two separate processes. It pulls you in, and I think the planning piece, when you haven't set a clear intention and really sat with it, which is what we're going to talk about in a second. The how will pull you out of alignment every single effing time. The how will tell you why you can't do it, or how you can only do it in a certain way, or it will start to create limitations. And setting intention, creating a new chapter for your business, for your life, is not about looking at reality, figuring out how, taking what is and adding, what do I think is realistic from today to the end of the year this year. That's not what setting an intention is. That's not what manifesting is. Like, that's not that, right? It's saying, what do I want? Ooh, what would be fun? How do I want to feel? Totally different planet. Again, we want to get to the planning at some point. We want to look at things like, what are we leaving? What do we want to, maybe you've already done some exercise like this, but what do you want to leave behind in 2022? And again, timing doesn't matter. I'm still doing this for myself. What are you ready to, what is no longer going to be part of your year? What are you taking? I always kind of like that. What are you taking with you? And what are you leaving behind? That's a really beautiful exercise. That is different, right? Because I might even use that to say, how do I feel about my marketing? What do I want to stop doing that I did last year? What am I just sort of done with? And how do I want to refresh my marketing for this year? Maybe, and then what am I keeping? Right? So I'm going to drop this. I'm going to keep doing these things, and I might add one thing on top of it. Right? But that's a much more practical, planful, action-oriented exercise. Again, very valid, very important, very valuable. But I really feel strongly, I really encourage you to separate those thoughts and those thought processes and that planning and documenting for a separate sitting until you've already set your intentions. Okay. So what is setting an intention? What is it? Setting intentions, in the way that I like to look at it, is really looking at it from a space of infinite possibilities. So give yourself a magic wand. This is, to me, the most important thing to do when you're thinking about setting intentions and when you're looking at your new year, your new chapter, your new business, your whatever it is for you at whatever time of the year, is to dream. Leave reality behind. It'll be there for the planning process, right? The planning process is, how do I get from where I am right now to this intention that I set? But if you don't know where you're going, and it's not an embodied, soulful thing created out of your greatest potential, using all elements of your brain, using all elements of just you're going to limit yourself. So give yourself full freedom to leave reality behind. Give yourself a magic wand. That's one of the things I always ask my clients. Like, if I gave you a magic wand right now and you truly could have anything you wanted in your business, in your life, in your relationships, what is it? So the more you can let that go, the more you can grab that magic wand and let yourself have full freedom to just play in this space. A, the more fun it is. But B, the more you are going to be aligned, mind, body, soul, energy, to this thing that you want, to this thing that you're going to create this year, or these things that you're going to create this year. And this is where I want to talk a minute about the subconscious mind. So if you're new to me, I am a trained hypnotherapist. I don't use it much in my business anymore. That's how I started my business. Was I used to work with people exclusively using hypnotherapy, and I just eventually sort of evolved into realizing that I preferred to be a coach. But what's so important about that I learned in that process in working with people and working with the subconscious mind, and I still do work with the subconscious mind, it just looks a little differently, is that that's actually where we create. That's what we create from. That's where our dreams come from. But it's also how it's not the thing that you see, right? Like, we're so used to looking at action and seeing action out in the world, and action is important too, but you really create from that space. And so when you give yourself a magic wand, you're letting your subconscious mind go wild. You're letting it let go. It doesn't have a sense of reality, which is also why we do mindset work, which is why, because our subconscious mind is also going to be the part of the mind that, is more that like caveman sort of like, oh no, this isn't keeping me safe. I have to keep, I need to be safe from that $1 million that's coming my way, right? And why we need to do mindset work around that, because the subconscious mind doesn't have a filter, doesn't know imagination from reality. And we need to partner with it. But this is where the subconscious mind really has, this is where we want to not like control it or do mindset work or like keep it in check and keep it from running the show. This is where we want it to run the show. Give your mind the magic wand and let yourself create 2023 from a dreaming space, from a subconscious mind space, from a magic wand space, from the space of no reality, because anything really is possible. And if you want to create big stuff, if you want to do big things, if you have big dreams, even if you don't know what they are, but you just feel that you want to make a big mark or a deep mark on the world, looking at reality, looking at where you are right this minute and looking at what you think is possible is not the way to get there, because the people who create and innovate and make new things, they're considered crazy until they have the thing, until they do the thing, right? So let yourself go crazy, let yourself be crazy and dream. asking yourself things like, what do I want? How do I want to feel? That's a really, really big one. How do I want to feel? How do I want to be? I want to feel that I have enough time. I'm going to use the motherhood example. I want to feel that I have enough time to spend in all the different aspects of my life. Or I want to feel that when I'm with my child, I'm just focused on my child and I'm enjoying being a mom and learning that and getting the joy and taking care of and just I'm just focused on that. And I'm not worrying about my business or feeling guilty that maybe I should check in with a client or whatever it is, right? And then when I'm with my business, working with a client, I want to know that my child is taken care of. And so I can kind of just check out of motherhood. That's not the right way to say it. Moms, you can correct me, but like that I can just not have to focus and worry about being a mom in that moment, knowing that everybody is safe and everybody is taken care of so that I can simply focus on my business and my work in the world and my creativity. And that makes me a better mom and it makes me a better whatever you're doing in your work, right? So maybe that's how you want to feel, right? Ways of being. And then another thing that I like to do with this sort of dreaming aspect, but I'm going to close it here soon because I really just want to give people a chance to sit with these questions, sit with this idea, and give yourself a chance to do some dreaming if you haven't already. So let's take an example. Let's say you're doing some dreaming, and I actually, let me back up. This is a great opportunity to do some meditation. This is a great opportunity to sit on your porch and look outside, to sit inside if it's cold where you are and look outside, to find, go somewhere, a coffee shop, go somewhere that you feel sort of you can check out of reality. Don't bring your laptop. Don't bring, don't look at your phone. Just go somewhere, corner of your house, a coffee shop, a beautiful landscape, and give yourself a chance to really dream. So you might want to have your eyes open, looking at this beautiful scenery, and just sort of allow yourself to imagine what you want this year. A lot of people like to journal. I encourage you when you do your journaling to not try to make your final draft, to just go full stream of consciousness, bulleted. Maybe it's not even full sentences. Maybe it's just phrases. Go full stream of consciousness, because that actually really supports your subconscious mind. Once you try to make it presentable, as long as you can read it, your subconscious mind kind of gets out of the flow. So just let yourself, right? Just let it come out. Be ridiculously first drafty about anything. And then you can always come back and say, okay, I see 27 things about balance. I think balance is one of my themes here. But letting yourself just, again, all of these sort of tactics, it's not the right word. All of these exercises are simply about just letting it come out of you. So meditation, eyes open, looking somewhere, journaling, all of the above. I often will do both. I'll sort of stare out into space, and then something will pop into my brain and I'll start writing it down. And when that starts to slow down, then I'll kind of stare into space again and I'll close my eyes and meditate, right? So you can do kind of hodgepodge, however it feels good to you. And then when you've got something that feels really good and juicy, right? Maybe it's a money goal, maybe it's a theme, a word like balance. I think this is why a lot of people like to choose a word of the year. I encourage you, if that feels good, great, do it. If you don't. Or if you need 3 words because you can't pick just one, you create that. My encouragement for you is that letting 2023 be the year where you really do it your way. And so why not start now with this? And again, this is just, I'm so big on running your business on your own terms and finding your unique way. Not that you need to recreate the wheel, but finding the way to run your business that really serves you, not just your work, but your style, your triggers, your zone of genius. And that's the way I run my business is not going to work for everybody. So the other thing about this sort of dreaming, intention setting sort of space that I like to do is, let's say you've noticed, okay, I've got a lot of stuff around balance, or I have a lot of stuff around money, and I know, how I want to feel, what I want to make. I know how I want to feel when I'm making the money. I always try to get into like how that will feel in the process versus like, I won't be happy until I have that multi-six figure or whatever goal your goal is, 6 figures, 7 figures. So rather than deciding like that will make me feel this way and therefore I can't, because the underlying is like, well, I won't feel that way until I have the thing. How does it feel? And letting yourself find ways to feel that now, letting yourself find ways to feel that along the way is actually a trick. And then whatever it is, so let me think, money goal, maybe you want to, okay, I'll give you one of mine. I want to launch a podcast this year. That's one of my intentions. I want to turn Pivot Chats into a podcast on podcast platforms. So whatever the thing is, money, a podcast, balance, those are my 3 examples for today. I don't know why, but those are my 3 examples. Once you get one of those things, and you can create more than one thing in the year, but once you get one of those things, it's really good to just sort of hold your focus on it, hold your attention around it. Let yourself feel into how it feels. Imagine it already being created. What does it look like? What does it smell like? What does it feel like in your body? Is it something you can touch? What does it feel like tangibly? Letting all your 5 senses sort of tap into it. And then looking at your future self, this is my favorite thing to do. Maybe I'll do a meditation about this year or this month. Connecting into that future self of you that already has the thing, that already has has a balance between motherhood and business, for example. Somebody that is, a published podcaster, somebody who is a multi-6-figure business owner. And how are you being as you are that person now? Like, how are you already being as that future self? What is that person's way of being? What do you notice about them? Right? In the motherhood example, maybe they're just a calm, centered person. Because when they're with their business, they know the kid's taken care of. And when they're with the kid, they know their business is good. For me, one of the things that I envision with my future self as a podcaster is really getting to collaborate and build on ideas with other people. Because while I will be doing lots of my own episodes, I'm going to continue to interview other people. And so that future self in me is really inspired and able to take her thoughts further, because she's like compiling her thoughts with other people's thoughts, and together they're creating something even more amazing. So that's one of the things that I tap into when I think about the future me as a podcaster. And can you see how none of this is about how many people do I need to hire to launch my podcast, right? That's an important thing that I'm working on right now. But it's a separate process from setting the clear intention, letting yourself really feel it, and getting clear on not just I want the money, but why do I want the money? What feelings will I have when I have the money? What will I, and how am I going to find a way to, how does it feel along the way to that money, right? So if I'm making multi six figures, how does it feel to be at six figures? Or how does it feel to be at 150K, right? How does it feel along the way? Ooh, isn't that neat that I'm now at this point? So getting into the excitement of it, getting into the fun part of it, getting into the details, not of the how, not of the reality yet, not of the planning. We'll do that on another day. But when we envision these things that we want, you're really letting yourself go wild with it. Imagine it in your, if you're a person who can see in your mind's eye, not everybody can do that. We learned in hypnotherapy school, and I saw this with so many of my clients, that everybody tends to have, if you meditate, same thing as meditation is the same thing as hypnosis, but we tend to have a dominant sense, touch, taste, seeing, whatever. So some people can really see, right? They can close their eyes and just like see their bank account at multi six figures, or they can see themselves balancing motherhood and a successful business. Some people are much more aware of like, ooh, this is how it feels in my body, right? Some people are hearing, that's actually much more rare, but some people hear, like, these are the sounds that I hear when I see, ding, 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 right? Maybe the cash is coming into your bank account, whatever it is. So letting yourself go to full imagination, be a little kid about it, be in a dreaming state, if you will, letting yourself go with that. And then asking more detailed questions, not about how you get there, not about the plan, but like tapping in, can you even go to all 5 of your senses around it? What does it look like? What does it taste like? Is there a taste to it, right? What does it sound like? And even if you're not able to do that, just asking yourself those questions. What does my future self look like, feel like, see? How is my future self spending her time? Ooh, let's check it. Let's look at her calendar. What does her calendar look like? How is she, look how beautifully balanced her motherhood and her business life are, right? Letting yourself really, really, really tap into that. That's setting intentions. And then the science behind it is that your subconscious mind has something to latch onto, has something to that, like because your subconscious mind, I said this earlier, because your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between reality and imagination, this is where it shines in that way. So your subconscious mind thinks you're already there. So much easier to manifest. So much more fun to live your life that way. So much more fun to run a business that way. And when you, not just your subconscious mind, but when you go through these exercises, or you find a way to do this in a way that really serves you, it makes the planning so much easier, because you're already just aligned to the thing that you've decided to create. And that's the final piece I want to say here. What I want you to do, and the reason we're not calling these goals or intention, or the reason we're calling them intentions and not goals or resolutions, is I think with goals or resolutions, there's sort of I'm going to put this out there and hope I get there. And hope is amazing. Hope is great. But I think in this example, hope isn't strong enough. I don't want to hope to be a podcaster. That's sort of, then I don't have the power, right? I'm hoping that it'll all work out. And while no, I can't control everything, I do believe that we create our own reality. And so I'm deciding to be a podcaster. I have set an intention to be a podcaster, right? That's a very, very different vibe than, it would be so nice to make multi six figures this year. I hope that works, right? So take your power back. What are you deciding for 2023? What are you intending? Let yourself go wild. Let your imagination run wild. Feel all your senses. Feel all of the details around how great the thing is that you're creating is. And that's when we start to really, truly embody what we're creating before it's even here. And it's a lot more of an enjoyable way to run your business. And then we can get to the planning, then we can get to the action and the how with a lot less resistance and a lot less wonky energy around it, because we're already crystal clear on the intention. And then all we need to do is just set the things up to line up to get there. And it's also much easier once you have imagined something, it's a much easier sort of space to come back to when you do have, let's say, a decision point. Maybe somebody offers me an opportunity to do something and I go, oh gosh, if I did that, it would conflict with my podcast. Let me sit and think about that. And I can come back to that vision of, I really wanted to do a podcast. I might change my mind, or I might decide that the timing, I want to do something else first, but I can still just come back to that. It's nice to come back to that and ground back into your intentions when you need to make a decision around priority. Okay, I am going to leave you with that. If you're looking for some support around your intentions, or if you've done what we talked about today and you're looking for some support in that planning stage, in that what's next, how do I even get there? Oh my God, Laura, I want to create and accomplish so many things this year. That's awesome, but like, how do I do it? Hop on a call with me. I have two opportunities for you. If you've worked with me before, or if you haven't worked with me before, or if you haven't taken advantage of my free coaching session offer, then hop on a free call with me. It is a coaching session. It's not a discovery call. You can hop on a discovery call with me too, but this is simply a coaching call. So we'll pick one topic. So this is a great one topic to use for the free session around planning that next year for yourself, or at least planning out, depending on what you're trying to create, planning out one element of one major intention for your business. So action planning, or even just setting the intentions. I'm really, really good at helping people dream, really good at helping you think differently, think bigger. So if you want to help, like, okay, I can only think through this from a realistic perspective. How do I kind of go out there? I'd love to do that with you too. That's super fun. Maybe we'll even use hypnosis if you're open to it. So if you're interested in doing a free session with me, this is a great topic to use it for. If you want to use it for something else, you can. So I have a free session for people who've never used a free session with me before. And if you've worked with me before, if you've been a client of mine, or if you've used your free session, one thing that you can do, and I've opened up a couple of slots for this month, is you can do a single session with me. So that's also these are single sessions. Most of my clients work with me for 6 months at a time. And we tackle much bigger things, but when you have one thing to talk about, one thing that you'd like support with, these single sessions can be really potent and powerful, and they're super fun. So if that's of interest to you, I'll put the link here in the comments and you can join me for that. And look, take me up on this opportunity to fast track your goals, to fast track where you're going, to fast track your intentions for the year. I don't always offer these free sessions. I do them periodically, but they are up and available now. So take it while it's here. And I will be back next week, and I will see you then. Thanks so much.